We are less than 24 hours away from NFL free agency being kicked off, and we've got some major rumors surrounding Saquon Barkley to get into on today's show as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Jeremy Fowler and Jordan Ranaan provided some very in-depth details on Barkley and whether he'll be back with Big Blue or maybe leaving for another team. We'll talk about that, and I'm also going to give you my final predictions about 5 or 6 guys that I will think will be back with the Giants or potentially guys that they will sign in NFL free agency. But first, I got to make sure everybody watching today's show is going to be watching tomorrow's live show as we will be live on the channel breaking everything down in NFL free agency, things that happen with the Giants, but also across the National Football League. We'll be your one-stop shop all day long for everything free agency, so subscribe and turn your notifications on and join us at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Alrighty, according to ESPN, the Giants are still in the mix with Barkley. There is still a possibility that he re-signs and maybe finishes his career with the New York Giants. But Fowler is also reporting that the Giants have interest in Tony Pollard and Austin Ekeler, to name a couple of running backs, which is very funny. Because a lot of people told me, Marshall, there is no way that the Giants would go out and spend money on a running back if they wouldn't spend it on Barkley. Because remember, I told you 2 days ago that the Giants were interested in Josh Jacobs, and since then you have learned that it was Josh Jacobs' team that told us that here at Chat Sports. Yeah, the Giants are interested in signing a running back that is a very good player, whether it be Josh Jacobs, whether it's Tony Pollard, or Austin Ekeler, if they are unable to come to an agreement with Saquon Barkley. So let's look at the difference between Barkley, Pollard, and Ekeler when you look at last year's stats. Saquon Barkley, 247 carries, just 5 less than Pollard, a little bit more than Ekeler as he missed some time, as did Barkley. But the thing that pops off the screen to me is neither of these running backs had an average yards per carry of more than 4.0. And to me, yards per carry isn't always the determining factor for a running back, but it does show me that they may have already passed their prime, and they may not be the productive backs that they once were. I think Pollard probably has the most juice left in him when it comes to potentially being a big-time player down the road, but I'm really not all that interested in signing Pollard or Ekeler or even Josh Jacobs, even though I told you guys the Giants are interested in signing him. If the Giants are going to let Saquon Barkley walk, they need to use that money in that cap space to help bolster the roster at more premium positions. Right tackle, interior offensive line, pass rusher, a covered corner, somebody like that. But I also understand from the viewpoint that the Giants may think that signing a running back would help this offense. I'll break it down. I'm trying to think from both sides. My opinion was first, but let's go and try and figure out what Joe Schoen is thinking. If the Giants think Barkley is worth X, for simple numbers, let's just say $10 million. If they have said, we think Saquon Barkley is worth $10 million, but he's going to go for a little bit more than that. What if a guy like Tony Pollard is worth $8 million, or Josh Jacobs is worth $9 million, or Austin Ekeler is worth $7 million? They think that a running back that is good is worth that. Those guys may still be good running backs. And on top of that, you may have Daniel Jones back under center next year, and you may have a young quarterback. And you probably want to have a ground game that you can lean on if either of those two things are the outcome for next year. So that's kind of me trying to understand both sides of that situation. It is also coming out that Saquon Barkley is expected to get in the range of $10 million per year in free agency. And I think if it gets to $10 million, the Giants are going to be out. I don't think they will go that high on an average annual value for Saquon Barkley. Teams that we are hearing from ESPN that are interested in Saquon Barkley are the Los Angeles Chargers. We told you that 2 months ago once Harbaugh got that job. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that is also interested in Barkley. Lamar Jackson and Barkley in the backfield together, that would be dynamic. The Chicago Bears have a lot of cap space. They're going to have a young rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. They're going to be a team that's definitely interested in Saquon. And then we've also heard that the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys are interested in signing Saquon Barkley. These are the 5 teams that ESPN mentioned. But I am going to keep my eyes on the Houston Texans and Saquon Barkley. I've just heard a lot of smoke personally about the Texans being interested in Barkley. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that. They have a lot of cap space. They have a young quarterback in C.J. Stroud. They're trying to add a spark and some pop and some juice to that running back position. And I've heard Saquon Barkley is number one on their board, but it's all going to come down to money for this. Saquon is trying to get a bag. It will be his last chance in this league to secure a multi-year deal with a lot of money on it. I hope he finds it, but I also still hope that he's going to be back with the New York Giants. So I love Saquon, and I know he's a good player, and I know what he means to this locker room, this football team, and this fan base. But we may be 24 hours away or less than that from potentially seeing him sign with another team. So I want you to predict it. Will Barkley re-sign with the Giants? Last time, I'm going to ask this question. Get your votes in. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I have been all over the place with trying to predict if Saquon Barkley will be back with the Giants. I didn't want to get to this point, but I am planting my flag. I think Saquon Barkley is a goner. I do not think Saquon Barkley will be playing football for the New York Giants next season. And that's a tough pill to swallow. I'm a huge fan of him. I got his jersey. I've got a helmet that is signed by Saquon Barkley. I'm not ready to see him play for another team. But business is business. It's strictly financial, and I don't think the Giants are going to ante up the type of money that it's going to cost to keep him wearing big blue. I would replace Saquon Barkley in the NFL draft. We told you that they were interested in Jacobs. Fowler is now telling you they are interested in another back like Pollard or potentially Ekeler. I would go towards the NFL draft to replace that because I think cost-controlled, low-value running backs are the way of the game. I would maybe even draft a running back and sign a premier UDFA guy, and then you have those two guys battle it out with Eric Gray as well, or maybe you sign a lower-level free agent. I'm not giving big money to a running back if I'm not giving it to Saquon. All right, let's get into my favorite part of today's show. We're right around the corner. By this time tomorrow, we will know of some new players that are joining this football team. So I'm going to try to predict it in today's video. The Giants are expected to have roughly $40 million in cap space. And as you know, because you're a subscriber to the channel, if you're not, I'll give you this moment right now to change it. Hit that sub button. All right, welcome to the channel. That the Giants can save some more money in free agency if they restructure Dexter Lawrence or if they restructure Andrew Thomas, a couple of other cuts as well. Let's get into it, though. Free agency prediction number one, and this one hurts my heart as well because he's a 24-year-old safety that has his best days of football ahead of him. I don't think the Giants are going to ante up the money to sign Xavier McKinney. With holes on this roster at the edge, on defense, and on the offensive line, I don't think they want to pay big bucks to a safety. So unfortunately, I am going to predict that Xavier McKinney is gone. I want him to be back. He's a good football player, and he's 24, and he's a two-time team captain, and he played every snap last year. These are just my predictions of reading the tea leaves. But with McKinney out and Barkley out, the Giants have some money to play with. And I think they are going to spend the big bucks and back up the Brinks truck for interior offensive lineman Robert Hunt from the Miami Dolphins. In my opinion, he is the best guard left in free agency. The Giants have the biggest need in the NFL at guard. It's a match made in heaven. Go give him the money, you fix the position, and you start to fortify the offensive line for once and for all. Robert Hunt, my prediction, you are a New York Giant. But I don't think the Giants are only going to make one free agent signing on the offensive line. I also told you guys a month ago when I was in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl that I was told by a very, very close source to Jermaine Illuminor that the Giants are interested in him because of Carmen Brasillo and his ties to the Raiders and Illuminor. And I think Illuminor is going to be a New York Giant. So I think they're going to sign Robert Hunt, and I also think they're going to sign Jermaine Illuminor in NFL free agency. Big free agency signings on the offensive line. Illuminor has the ability to play tackle and guard, and I think that makes him really appealing to the New York Giants. Let's talk on the defensive side of the football. A veteran in this league that was released by the Buffalo Bills just a couple days ago, has ties to Brian Daboll, has ties to Joe Schoen, and with Xavier McKinney gone, they're going to need to fill the hole that he leaves at the secondary position on the back half of the defense at safety. And with young guys on this team, like Dane Belton, Jason Pinnock, and Javarius Owens, I think bringing in a vet like Jordan Poyer makes a lot of sense. Jordan Poyer, my prediction is you are a New York Giant. But he's not the only Buffalo Bill that I think is coming to town. I think A.J. Epinesa, Kim, makes a lot of sense. I think he is going to be a New York Giant. I also think the Giants are going to sign a veteran free agent quarterback. And I've gone back and forth on who it will be. But something inside my stomach tells me that Ryan Tannehill is going to be that guy. I go back to what Joe Schoen said about it. We are looking to bring someone in that is known as more than just a long-term backup. And that's exactly what Ryan Tannehill is. He is known as a starter in this league. I don't think they have much faith in Daniel Jones. And there's also something in his contract that we'll talk about later on in the week that may hold him out from playing this entire season. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be a New York Giant. But the biggest signing outside of Robert Hunt, I think, will come on the defensive side of the football. And that's actually with the player that is in the building right now in East Rutherford, meeting with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. That is Darius Williams, the cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was ranked by PFF as one of the best corners in the league last year. He's visiting the Giants on Sunday, and I think they may just get a deal done. So Darius Williams, my prediction is you are a New York Football Giant, one of the best corners in this league. Going to cost you around $10 to $12 million per year, but with him on one side, Banks on the other, I think that's potentially a nice start to a new secondary for the New York Giants. I went through, I think, 5 or 6 players right there, so I want you to take a crack at it. Predict a player you think the Giants will sign in free agency. Drop their name down in the comment section. And if you haven't yet, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have your notifications turned on, because we are going live all day on Monday for free agency. And I want to see your beautiful faces there. So subscribe, turn your notifications on, set your alarm, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going live on the channel. Me, Seeps, Chat Sports crew. Let's get active. Let's do it. Subscribe, notifications on. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully the Giants are a better football team by this time tomorrow.